Hi everybody, this is Tor Storley again. In order to set up my examples, I'm going to be using a PowerShell script where I export some data, some JSON data out of a SQL Server table. So let's get started with the PowerShell script. So what I have here is I open up my Visual Studio Code and I loaded a new terminal in there. And as you can see, this covers the PowerShell version 7.2.4. First thing you want to make sure is that you have the right execution policy. So when you run that, you can see I have remote signed down here. So that's fine. That's what I kind of want to have. I created this script, which looks like this. And I'm going to try to run this inside version 7 of PowerShell. Now, if you look at this, basically what it does, it creates a here string set up by this @ single quote and ending with an @. That means all the text within this string will be treated as is. And then it's going to try to import this SQL PowerShell module. And that is available on my machine. I have installed it. If you don't have that, you need to just do a Google on this SQLPS and figure out how to install it on your machine. I'm running a Windows machine, by the way, so everything I do is based on Windows. And then I'm going to create an object where I'm creating a new object of type SQL Server Management SMO server. And I have some additional arguments here. This is the database name. This is the database I want to link up to. And it sits on my SQL Server. This is the file I want to export to. And here is the actual command that's going to load the data. So I invoke a SQL command. The query is this SQL statement you see up here, this here string. And the server instance parameter is whatever I loaded in here, which is this desktop-156blfl/SQL 2019 instance. And then I have my database name. I do a pipe so I can continue here. I have a select object. Select everything. It has some additional parameters here. Exactly what these do is not important. Bottom line is they're going to grab the data from SQL Server and try to spool it out to this JSON file. What I'm going to do is I'm going to convert to a JSON file of depth 1. So it's going to have one level. And I'm also going to compress it so there's no white space in between. It becomes just one compact file. And then I'm going to run the data. And then I'm going to spool the data. I'm going to pipe it out to create a new file, and then we'll use this file path, and I'm going to use the UTF-8 encoding. All right, and you'll see that in a second what I'm using. So I'm going to try to run this script now. So I'm going to just get a reference to this script in this location. So here's the script, and I'm going to fire it off. And I'm getting some errors here. So when I scroll up and I look at it here, it tells me cannot import this SQLPS. That's not good because then I can't spool out anything. So as it turns out, the import I'm doing here for the SQLPS is created using .NET framework. It looks like the PowerShell 7.1 version, or at least 7 I should say, is basically based on .NET Core. So it doesn't have the same modules available to me. So it didn't run here on the version 7. So I'm going to close this, but I do have the same script set up here. And this is now loaded using the IDE. So if you look at the host here, so I'm going to type in host. As you can see, this is running the PowerShell ISE host, and it's using the version 5.1. So what I can do is I can also run this $PS version table to figure out which version of PowerShell I'm running. So when I run that, you can see it's running 5.1 version. Now the 5.1 version is in the .NET framework. I'm going to try to run my script one more time, but I'm going to run in the 5.1 environment here. So let me select this script and let me run it. And as you can see, it ran and it spooled out a bunch of JSON parameters here. So it looks like it worked. And if we go to this file path here, so let's just do this. Let's copy that guy and let's just paste it in here. So this is where I loaded the file. So let's just copy this and go there and take a look and see if we can see that file. So here I am in that folder, which is this stoltx-dir folder. And as you can see, I sorted it by date, descending order. So here's the file I just created. And I can open this in Notepad. When you look at it in Notepad, it looks something like this. So as you can see, it's totally compressed. I can select all of it. I can go to my plugins, go to JSON viewer, and format JSON. So now you can see it's nicely laid out. By the way, I can do the same thing if I wanted to inside the actual PowerShell that I just ran in here. How would I do that? I can simply comment out this last piece here so I don't compress it. So let me save it one more time, but remove this compressed like this. Let's create another file, so let's run it one more time. So I'll save it and run it again. And now you can see it looks a little bit different. So if I sort it again here, you can see this is the file I just created. Let's open that one in Notepad and take a look. And notice now, it's laid out that same way that I did just format it as. So now it has white spaces, etc. in it, and you can easily detect that. Press this little icon up here, and you can see it has line feeds after each part here. So it's a lot more white space in this file now. So that's how you can create the SQL Server, or export, I should say, file in a JSON format by actually do the conversion inside the PowerShell script itself. By the way, just to clarify a few things, I kind of glossed over some of this stuff. But as you can see in this select object, I select everything, but that is piped in from this command here. So it basically runs a query, which is that query up here, and then it runs the select object everything, but then it excludes some parameters here before it converts it to JSON. So just to be, inclusive here, if I copy this down here and I paste it down here and I run this part, as you can see, it runs through and generates the data. Because it's running a query against the database, it attaches some additional properties here, like the row error, row state, table, and which is an empty dictionary kind of object, item array, what has some additional data in it, and has errors. So what I do basically in here, I remove those fields, and that's what this exclude property is doing. It removes these, so it becomes cleaner. So it's just the data itself before I spool it out. The other thing I should probably specify is when you see a thing like this in PowerShell, like select object, and you kind of wonder, what is that do, What you can do is, you can do something like this. You can say get help, which would be the commandlet, or you can use the alias help. And if you hit that, you can see it gives you some information about it down here. But it also tells you, you can go here to see it. And it tells you, if you want to go online and get it, you can use this get help select object -online. So if I copy that and paste that in here and hit enter, now it will open up in my browser window, it will go to that website where this information is stored. So here you can see, here's your select object, and this is true for all of these modules and commandlets, I should say, in PowerShell. So when you scroll down here now, it typically gives you the syntax that you have to use, gives you description, and it also gives you a bunch of examples so you can just copy, paste, and try out and fix up and stuff. So it goes through this particular commandlet, gives you a bunch of examples, and then on the bottom here, it goes through all the flags or parameters that you can set for that commandlet. So it's very useful user information here as far as the PowerShell commandlets goes. So I just want to point that out. So I hope you liked this video, and if you did, let me know. You can like it, and you can maybe subscribe to my channel, and hopefully you get something out of this. I look forward to see you again. Thank you so much for watching.